Hey guys, Jason with Strictly Broken here with another deck profile. It's been a hot minute since I did one of these, so I wanted to do one with the upcoming Frieren announcement for one of my favorite series. Personally, one of my favorite decks I've been playing right now. Obviously, so no Frieren. I have been recently playing the 8 gate deck with the level 1 Fern gate and the level 3 booster Frieren gate. I've just really enjoyed the versatility of this deck and the cards that it lets me play compared to other Frieren decks. So I thought I would go through my deck choice with you, maybe get you guys excited for the English version, or maybe if you really like it, maybe you want to buy it in Japanese. Let's go through the list. So first for our level zeros, our first one is this level zero Frieren. This card is on play, discard a card, look at top 4 cards of your deck for a level 1 or higher card, add it to your hand, send the rest to waiting room. So this card was a card in Hololive 1. It was a 1/0 yellow Subaru. That card had an experience condition of having a blue card in your level. This card has no condition. It just does it on play at level 0. Incredibly strong card, especially because Frieren is an event-centric deck. It plays 11 different events. So having the ability to access all those cards, especially since 8 of them are level 1 events that we can actively play pretty easily. Very, very strong. And in general, it's our deck speed. I play this card regularly, multiple times a game, so I definitely would not want to go to less than 4, but I could definitely see an argument for playing 3. Freeman has a lot of great level zeros and option cards that you can look at, and that's just one of the few places I think you could make an exception to maybe fit those cards in. Our next card is our Fern Brainstorm. We play 3. This card is a tap self salvage brainstorm, and it is also up to 3 times per turn when you play an event during either player's turn. You get to look at the top 2 cards of your deck and rearrange them in the order that you like. Frieren as a set kind of cares a lot about the top card of its deck and what's there, so we can kind of play around with that and make sure the cards we want are on the top of our deck. And during the opponent's turn, you can use that alongside the fact that 8 of your level 1 events have counters on them to basically rearrange the top card of your deck to stack it. So the climax is either always on the second card, always on the first card. You can layer it to like draw specific cards, like really cool interaction because one of our events draws before it does anything else. You can go play the 1/0 check 4 event. See if you see the card that you want to be drawing and a climax, you can potentially layer it so the climax is first and the card you want to draw is second. Then on the next attack, you can play the 1/1 event to draw the card and then do its own effect. Niche, most of the time it's going to be used to just kind of stack your climaxes in the right order when during the opponent's attack phase, but it definitely does have some niche applications that I think you'll find as you play with it more. They'll come up every now and then, and you'll start to feel like you'll feel pretty good when you sequence your cards in a way that benefits you a lot. Next, we have our 0/0 Serie. This card is an on play, pay 1, clock the top card of your deck, search your deck for level 1 or lower character, so a true Ricky. And it's also an event swap. So pay 1, discard an event from your hand to look through your grave, any event you want to your hand. So that card of that effect, a lot more niche than the top effect. It does come every now and then though, because we do play 4 different events, and 2 of them are not grabbable by our level 1 combos. So having access to those cards when you need them is very nice. The Ricky effect, very strong as always. I'm only on 3 of this card because I had to make cuts elsewhere. I'm playing 2 of every utility card, which very reasonably you could make an argument to cut one of them down for a fourth of this card because this card is so strong for being you have level 1 combo. Very reasonable. I've been playing 3. I haven't really had a problem with it. There's also the green shell you could argue into playing. I personally am not playing it right now. I don't like it that much. I just want to max out on the blue cards and consistency. So, especially because we'll talk about it when we get to the events. There's a specific reason I'm trying to minimize my non-blue count. So, good card though. Definitely could play 4. You could even go -1 of the free run level 0 for a fourth of that. I think that's like very reasonable and something I might actually consider doing. Oops. Next, we have our Climax Swapper. This card is just a level 0 bomb, bottom deck bomb, and it is a Climax Swapper. Perfectly fine. Again, we don't play oversizes in this deck or any +0 for that matter. So having access to a card like this that just bombs it and gets rid of their +0, gets rid of their like Shinobu bouncers, etc., their Fukas, very valid, very useful. And again, it's just a Climax Swapper. We play 8 pants, so we just want to make sure we just have the right Climax in our hand. Next, we have this card. This is on play, ditch a climax or event to salvage a character. Just very good card. Again, we play 11 events, 8 climaxes, so it's 19 cards that we can just filter through for this. 3 of our events can't be played until level 2 or 3. The other 8 obviously can be played at 1, but sometimes they're stock costed. So if you have this card and you can play a free lane, you can like discard our 1/1 event in order to just salvage the card instead of playing the 1/1 event to salvage, which is really nice. In general, this card is just it's a great card to let you extend out your 0 when you don't have cards. Very, very nice. And then finally, we have our Climax support back row. This card is Act to rest itself, pump something 1k power. And then whenever you trigger a Climax, you can discard a Climax from your hand. If you do, salvage a character and then look at the top card of your deck, either keep it or mill it, so you surveil. This has really cool synergy with another level 1 in this deck. And then this is definitely the most cuttable card, I think. I don't tend to play it every game. The games it's there, it is very nice because it gives you a bit of extra selection. Again, it's one of the few non-costed ways to select for cards. Great. This could definitely pivot into some other cards that I'll talk about in a minute, just for room. That's how I feel about basically like all of these 2-ofs could reasonably be like another card and just play 1/1/1 or like 1/1/0. They're like very flexible in that regard. That's what something I really like about Frieren. There's no like, you're not sitting on a list and being like, oh, it's the exact same 48 cards through every deck and then like 2 flex slots. Like there's actually a lot of wiggle room where you still get to be like express yourself. Like there's some really good tech cards, especially for English, that I'll definitely talk about. 1/0 Fern. This is your level 1 combo of choice. This is if you have 2 or more other weapon or magic characters. She's a 6k always. Climax combo, when you play her pants, you get to salvage either the 1/0 event or the 1/1 event from your waiting room, add them to hand. So in this case, this is like Christmas Costumey from Bang Dream. That card only grabbed Warehouse, which is a 4 of, and any Bang Dream player can tell you there's the games where even if they have triple combo, they just don't have 3 events in waiting room. A lot less of an issue with Frieren because we play 8. The chance we have 3 grabbable cards and we triple combo is very high. And they also filter our hand and mill cards, so it's very easy to like filter through your hand, and if you have extra events, just to put them in waiting room, just to grab. Very nice. So level 1 combo of choice for sure. Also, obviously has the most blatant synergy with the Fern Brainstorm because it salvages 8 different level 1 events, or 8 copies of level 1 events, I should say. Our events of choice are a 1/0 Torch, so this is a check 4 add 1 with a counter, and this is a 1/1 draw drop and then salvage 1. The draw drop coming first is kind of nice because if you end up drawing the card that you wanted to salvage anyway, you can salvage a different card. It comes up every now and then, especially when you know what you're salvaging off like the Fern Brainstorm. If you played like a Torch beforehand, you can stack it so you're just drawing, you know what you're drawing. Also lets me draw my Climax every now and then too. That's pretty cool. When I Torch and then Torch sees the pants or something, I can be like, oh nice, 1/1 event, draw it. Now I have my combo for turn. I don't gotta worry about it. Other than that though, this is the only red in our deck actually. So you can opt to play the Fern level 0 bomb. That is on play. Look at the top 2 cards of your deck, keep them or mill them, or rearrange the rest. And the 0/0 Stark Oversight is just an on play if it's a character mark or event, I think, marker it, and then it gets power. Both are very perfectly fine, valid cards. I was just trying to play for the consistency. You could definitely play it. I think the Stark is a much better card than the Fern personally, just because it gives you a +0 0. But I really wanted to try the minimal red list. I saw some people in Japan playing it. I really, really liked it. And it's come up in testing to be like very negligible that I only play 4 red because I'll basically hold one of these in my opener, clock it, and then always level this first. And then because I have the Serie Ricky, and we only play 7 non-blue, and we play events to help us rearrange, it's almost never the case that we get stuck even at 1/0 because we can just go Serie Ricky, and like 90% of the time I think we'll hit blue, something like that. I don't really know what the math is on it, but with 7 misses and one of them out already because we're assuming we leveled it, it's very favored to just hit blue. So it's never come up for me personally. I can believe it if people don't vibe with it and they want to play more red. That's perfectly fine too. Next, we have our level 1 Frieren. This is our 1/0 Climax support. So we play 2 different Climax supports. This one, incredibly strong card. It's once per turn when you play an event during either player's turn. This gets 3,000 power, so go to 7k. Very cool with the 2 counter events, since you can basically make this a 7k defensive and get somebody when they're not expecting it. And it has on attack, you give all of your characters when you trigger a climax, you can pay 1, blind 1, and then optional draw drop. So it pays out your pants triggers. It can filter your pants triggers for you. If you don't actually want to pick up the pants, you just want to like draw something, try to like get them out of your hand. And with that level 0 that I mentioned before, the way you can layer this is that you resolve your pants, you resolve this card first to ditch 1, salvage 1, and then surveil. And then you can choose to blind stock afterwards. So you see a clean card on the top of your deck, and you can just leave it for your blind stock, or if you see a climax, you can choose to mill it. Very cool, very niche little thing. It doesn't come out all that often, but when it happens, it feels really, really good. Because a lot of times, especially in the early game, you don't really care to use that effect, and that's also a big thing against that level 0, is I don't always want to use it in the beginning of the game. I want to use it more later to start like selecting for my level 3 combos and stuff when I trigger the extra pants. Then finally, we have one more level 1 character that we'll actually play. We have one more card after this. This is once per turn when you play an event. Gains 1k power, so just 6k, and then on attack, reveal top card of your deck. If it's a level 1 or higher, you can send it to your stock. Again, with the Frieren Brainstorm, very nice because you can stack the level 1 on the top of your deck, so you can always attack with here first, or you can see that there's no level 1s, you can't move them. Then you can just go here last and try to gamble it that way. Just a little bit more consistency with resolving this. It's only a 1 of. It was supposed to actually be one of these, but I only had 2 extra because I have another Frieren deck that I also like to play every now and then. Not as much as this one though. So I made the concession at first, and then it ended up being I just actually really liked this 1 of. Definitely a flex card, definitely cuttable for other things, but it's come up fairly often, and I've grown really attached to this card. So I do like it. And then finally, we have the 1/1 2k counter. This has an extra effect on it. That's why it costs 1. It's you mill your bottom of your opponent's deck X cards. X is the number of your weapon or magic characters. So with this being a Japanese deck, we play around Macross and stuff like that, where Macross instantly loses effectively to the bottom 5 cards of their deck getting milled when they do their free fresh loop. So this can just hose them there. It also acts as a form of like little decompression every now and then when your opponent tries to get that sick refresh where they have like a 1-card deck, Climax goes back, you just mill them, Climax stays out. Or in general, if you see your opponent's about to try to like leave their deck with like a really good deck state, you just force the mill. So really nice card. I value this more than the 1/0 2500 counter that goes to the bottom of your deck that some people opt to play 1 or 2 of. I just like the bonus effect on this. That card is definitely still valid though and defends the Frieren more. Frieren being 6k though means like 8k, 8.5. It's very rare that it matters, but they're like obviously if you play the mirror, being 8.5 does matter since you get to beat over Frieren, the other opponent's combos. Next we have our level 2s. So our first level 2 is this 2/1 Frieren. It's an anti-change bottom deck bomb. And then it also has, on attack, you choose one of your characters, give it 1,500 times the number of events in your waiting room. So it helps you beat over 2 early plays, one by bombing one, and then you can pump your Frieren or your other Frierens a bunch of power. I've even had games where I've pumped like the level 0s to just win over a lane because you play 11 events. So you potentially have up to like 16,500 power to just throw at something, which is absurd, especially because a lot of your, 4 of your events mill as well, and then 2 of them are both costless. So it's very real to have them in your waiting room to just throw the power around and just like body out all the lanes. Definitely a card I like to have 2 of because I don't have to select for it sometimes. I can just grab one, hold one, and know I have it. But this is also a card you could definitely play 1 of for other slots. Next we have our PR. This is my newest inclusion because I just recently got the PR. It's a 2/1 on play, pump something +1 soul, and then sack it to bounce 1. What's really cool is this card lets your level 3 combo get some side value and potentially dodge defensive counter since we don't have hexproof in this deck like the TD pants can. But because of the way our deck works, being able to side for 1 means like we can hit pinpoint lethal sometimes with like refresh points, which is really cool. English doesn't have this right away. We don't know when we're going to get this in English because it's from a PR pack. If you don't have this, you could very reasonably play like the Heiter anti-change counter or the like Heiter drop search, on attack double drop search. You can play the anti-overlord Fern. There's a level 0 red Fern that has on play you target a zone and you dunk all markers from that zone to the waiting room. That gets around Ainz's hexproof, so they can't stack their goats. Very, very strong card. Definitely a card I would look at for the English format over something. Maybe like one of these or something. Maybe this card. Real House actually makes it very terrifying to play against Frieren as Overlord. So it's definitely not mandatory card. It's just very nice, and it works pretty well in the Japanese format with a lot of walls. Then we have onto the events. We have our 2-0 event. This is a level down event, and then it goes to your stock. So this is another way for Frieren to help break boards, give you some extra hand to stock value, let you know to spend your stock to, because you need to spend stocks in selection, so you just need ways to do that. Fortunately, Frieren as a set is extremely liberal with his resources because your top end is only 6 stock, so you can like kind of move your hand stuff around to get around that, which is really really cool. Final event. This is a 3-1 salvage a character, and then you can stock shuffle your opponent optionally. You can just use it as a 3-1 salvage if you really wish to, and I've done that before. This card is, it really feels bad to lose to, because you just throw it at your opponent's clean stock, and sometimes they just get their climaxes ripped out of it. It's very random. But as the person using it, you can always just look at it as, well, it's 1 stock to potentially ruin my opponent's deck. And if it doesn't hit anything, then like no diff. You just move on. They don't know what's in their stock anymore. You don't know what's in their stock. But so it's harder for them to play around. Maybe you eat their combos or something. Who really knows? It's all random. Definitely feels bad, but it's what Frieren has, so it's what Frieren will play. And it's just kind of, you gotta just accept that. And now finally, our last card is our level 3 combo of choice, the 3-2 Frieren booster combo. This card is on play, heal 1. On attack, with the climax, if you have 3 or more cards with magic in their name, all of an events have the word magic in their name, so that's no problem. Choose 1 of 3 effects and resolve it. Either on attack, look at the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck, choose up to 1 card from among them, mill it, put the rest back. On attack, mill 12, this gets 1500 power. Or on attack, ditch 2, burn 3. So they're all 3 pretty fine effects, nothing too crazy, but I think having the versatility of all 3 is what really makes this card stand out. Is 3 like fine effects feel really good when you get to pick and choose how you want to do them. Like if your opponent's really low deck and you can like push refresh point on them maybe once or twice, you can just like mill and like do damage that way and have uncancelable damage, which is really strong. If they have a really low deck and you know there's a climax, it's like a 2-card deck with a climax in it, you can Mocha first, mill the climax, and then it's effective like you burn 3'd without actually spending the hand. And then obviously burn 3 is just lethal. If they're at 3-0, 1 refresh into 2 burn 3s is 5, potentially 5 or more instances of burning 3. Of swinging for 3, so you can like, you stick any 2, they die. That tends to be the most common occurrence. It'll be like triple Frieren. I only have the hand for double burn 3. Attack, mill 12, push you to refresh 3-1, and then just go 3, burn 3, swing 3, burn 3, swing 3. You try to close out the game that way. At least you're a healer, and you're ideally you can keep pretty decent compression, so you can kind of do like the Chainsaw Man thing where you live an extra turn. There's some options for cards you can try to play. Like there's like the money counter. That card's okay, but this card doesn't always win lane, so I don't want to pretend like I'm gonna win lane and have to play and like have a card dead in my hand or like warp my play around that. There's also like the Zoltrak event, which is the 2-3 burn event. If I had more stock in this deck, I'd play that. I play that in the TD level 3, but that's also just a completely different deck. I wouldn't even play that in 8 pants with the TD either. So other top ends you can look at instead of this would be the TD pants. The reason I don't play the TD pants is because the TD pants forces you into the 0-0 Frieren Brainstorm, which is a draw Brainstorm, which is fine by itself, but the fact that I can't play the Fern Brainstorm makes me feel really bad about it, because I really like the Fern Brainstorm. And in general, I don't feel like I have as many resources, and the selection with Fern to get into your Frieren makes it feel like I just don't have the resources compared to like if I'm playing the book cigarettes combo like I do with the TD. So I just think that deck works really well. If anybody's interested, I can always make a list about that deck too. I think that deck is also really, really cool. But not TD 8 pants for me personally. Otherwise, you can look at the Himmel 3-2. I don't really like the Himmel 3-2, but I think he's a pretty cool card all the same. He lets you have access to all the yellow stuff, which is really strong. I think yellow is a really good color. And it's kind of a shame I can't fit yellow in here, but there's so many events and stuff that it's really hard. You end up giving up a lot. It's like real concessions. So I'm just making the decision to play this Frieren. Also, the Himmel adds like 7 or 8 top end cards to your deck, but you get to play less events, obviously. So it's a trade-off. But yeah, that's this deck. I'm a very big fan. Very excited for it to come to English. I hope it does really well. If you have any questions about this deck, you can always leave it in the comments. I'll be glad to answer it. Or you can message me on Discord at prins_ws. If you're curious about how we felt about other cards, you can watch our review on the channel. It got posted somewhat recently after a bit of a delay, but it's there, where we kind of go over our thoughts on a lot of the cards. And yeah, if you're interested in Frieren, you can pre-order it on the Strictly website. As well as, if you want the Japanese version, you can check out Nova TCG. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we're back again with another one soon. Have a good one.